Welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, with your host, Matthew Shipp. This is the podcast for all of those who are involved in the agriculture all the way to the distribution of beverages. And now your host, Matthew Shipp.
Hello and welcome to Harvest to Pour. I'm your host, Matthew Shipp, and today I am here with Sean Terrell, the founder of Drip City Coffee in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm great. I'm excited to be here, excited to be a part of this, so ready to go.
Thanks for taking the time out today to talk to us. So take us through a little bit of Drip City Coffee's history. What inspired you to create Drip City Coffee? You know, how you started, and take us to kind of where you are right now.
Yeah, so I don't have a background in coffee. I really started drinking coffee when I was getting my master's degree, staying up, till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, reading books, and just, the typical Folgers coffee, not good, full of cream and sugar. And then I started another business. It's a security business. Did really well in like our second year, but, I didn't really enjoy running that business. It was good. It was lucrative, but didn't really give me fulfillment. And so me and my wife had a conversation like, well, what kind of business would you like to run? And, I love people, love meeting new people. You gotta love people if you're going to run a coffee shop. Otherwise you'll go crazy. Yeah. But love people, really enjoyed coffee. So I was like, hey, let's do a coffee shop. It was kind of like not even a serious statement at that moment. It was like, hey, let's just open a coffee shop. Like, it's no big deal. And so fast forward like maybe about a year, and here we are. I'm still blown away and amazed that, we were able to do it. But we had a lot of help along the way. So that's kind of how we got started.
All right. So what were some of your kind of early challenges about? I mean, now you're just saying, hey, let's just start a coffee shop on a whim, and you don't have background in coffee. I don't know if you've ever worked in coffee or not in any case, but what was the lead up to that?
Yeah. So I knew like I didn't have any background in coffee, no restaurant experience other than when I was a teenager, working fast food. And so I knew I needed some help. And so I started researching coffee schools, came across Texas Coffee School in Arlington, Texas. And so I went down, took that. It was amazing. They really gave me the blueprint, everything that I needed to start a coffee shop. They teach you everything about coffee. And it really kind of confirmed that, hey, I can actually do this. Like, this is actually feasible to do. And so that was January of last year when I went to Texas Coffee School, and then we opened up in October of last year.
Wow.
So it was pretty quick. It was a lot of work, a lot of long hours put in, just making the blueprint, the foundation of what Drip City is. But definitely without that expertise, taking those business classes, there's no way that we would be here today.
All right. So you took action on this really fast, right out of that course. And how long was that course? Is it a 6 months, year-long course?
Oh, it's 3 days. 3 days.
Oh, it's 3 days. Okay.
It's intense. And I highly recommend anybody taking this course. They give you a huge packet of everything from your why, like why are you opening a coffee shop, your concept, business plan, financial projections, lease negotiations. I mean, it literally covers everything that you need to open a coffee shop. So you don't even need experience running a business. They'll help you. If your dream is open a coffee shop, then they'll help you with that. So I really needed that. I've experienced running businesses, but when it came to coffee, like I didn't know what's the best equipment, who are the best roasters, where do you get your syrups, all that stuff. And so that was really a help for me and being able to put this all together.
Okay. And so right out of the gate, what was kind of the first, you've got all the materials, you've got to take action on these pieces. What was the biggest challenge? Was it like finding a location, or, you already have kind of your vision set, but getting it to become reality? What were some of the big roadblocks you ran into?
I think the biggest challenge was finding out how we're going to set ourselves apart from everyone else.
Okay.
because the coffee industry is so competitive. And in my opinion, coffee is the most customizable commodity on the market. Like there's so many different ways to make it. People like it the way they like it. I want this in it. I want that in it. It's very customizable. And so how are we going to set ourselves apart from all the other local coffee shops in Tulsa? And so that was probably the most challenging and I think the most important step of the process in coming up with our concept, that we wanted it to be very unique, something that you can't get anywhere else. There's a lot of good coffee shops all over the place, and it's not enough to just have good coffee. Uh, how are we going to create a unique experience to get our customers to come back and say, hey, I want to go to Drip City instead of this place or that place? And so that was very challenging, but also I think the most important part of the process.
That's really important for a lot of new businesses coming up, is discovering that kind of unique niche. What was some of the market research, or how did you go about you maybe had an idea. How did you go about validating that idea?
Yeah, so in our market research, we found that there was an area of town where most of the people that go to specialty coffee shops live, but there weren't any specialty coffee shops there. Most of the coffee shops were like downtown, where everybody works, but there was just this gaping hole where they all lived. And so that was like, we identified pretty quickly, like that's our area. That's where we want to be. And so then from there, I don't know how, because we found the spot. It was like kind of by accident. We were just driving around and we're like, hey, that place is for rent. And it was just perfect. And so the market research, absolutely, where are our customers, where do they live instead of where do they work?
Okay.
And
that's really great. So you're noticing that maybe the more of the suburbia area, people still want to get their coffee. Now, does that affect when you're busy versus when like a city coffee shop is busy? Have you noticed anything of that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Our busiest times are from 8 a.m. to about noon.
Okay.
I would imagine that that's pretty standard for all the other local coffee shops. We do stay open a lot later than other coffee shops as well. We stay open till 8 p.m. and even are considering staying open till midnight. And that's just part of the group that we're trying to reach. We're about a mile from a major university, and so we've been really trying hard to reach them, and that's really our target customer.
University
with Drip City.
That's really cool. I haven't heard a coffee shop wanting to stay open to midnight since I think I was in college, and that's been a while. So that is new to hear again, because a lot of them, depending on where their locations are, some of them even like they're done by 2:30, 3 o'clock. So that's interesting. So let's go ahead, and I want to move into kind of the core of this interview, is the harvest to pour journey. As I've said before, many people have heard, listen, is the harvest is where you're sourcing your raw materials to make what you make uniquely yours, and what makes it uniquely yours. And then we go into the pour, which is the marketing piece, is how do you get people to notice you and keep coming back for more. So let's go step back to the harvest. So you also mentioned to me earlier that you were getting into some roasting as well, or looking to start doing that. And right now, I don't know if you've transitioned to that or you're in the middle of transitioning to that. You can talk about that. But where do you source or pull in your product at the moment?
So right now we partner with Cuvée Coffee out of Austin, Texas. And like you said, the goal is to get into roasting, but when we were really sitting down, just kind of making our blueprint, our foundation, one of the mistakes that we didn't want to make, that I think some people make, is getting into roasting too soon, because I feel like you can only do one really well. You can either roast really well or run a coffee shop really well. The ones that I know that are great roasters, that's their focus, and they're not really putting all their time and their attention into the coffee shop. And so we wanted to really establish a really good brand and a really good coffee shop, and then slowly work our own roasts into it, as opposed to having a coffee shop and maybe I'm, making okay batches or not good batches, but man, I got to have coffee. So I'm just pushing it out. So from a quality standpoint, we really wanted to partner with a good roaster that was already
Mhm.
established, had those connections in the coffee industry with the farmers. And then once we got established and we're like, hey, we're a household name in our market, is when we're going to say, okay, now let's go out, let's make those relationships with farmers, with importers, let's start roasting, and really not have a set timeline. So where we can say, hey, I like this is good. We've got a good roast profile. We can push this out. We're not in a hurry because we've already got a quality roaster that we're working with.
All right, so you've established your focus of what you want to grow and strengthen first, and but you also have a nice kind of a North Star to aim for as well. That's great.
Right.
Now, so right now you're white labeling or sourcing from another roaster. I'm sure you're learning a lot from them as well. And what now? This is kind of I'm going to kind of blend the pour and what makes it uniquely yours right now, because I think this is where we started talking to a little bit about your customer base and what's unique about them, and what you were finding out and why your location's the way your location is, and what kind of customers or drinkers or people do you see that are really attracted to Drip City coffee?
So we've been getting a lot of business professionals, and I think a lot of it has to do with COVID, like post
Hmm.
COVID. A lot of people are still working from home, so we get a lot of people that have business meetings here, and that's great. We love it, and we don't get a lot of what I would call coffee nerds, coffee snobs. I don't know what the right term is. Those guys seems to be more downtown. There's another local coffee shop that's kind of known for being a coffee snob. Um, but we do get people that come in and
Hmm.
they're like, "Hey, what was your shot timing on that?" Or they're asking about the single origins, and so it's kind of
Hmm.
really a blend of a lot of people who don't really care. They give me my vanilla latte. I don't really care what the blend is. I don't care what the espresso blend is. All of that,
Hmm.
and they're just here to meet people and just have a good time. And then we're also seeing some people come in and they're getting pour overs and they're super interested about the where the beans are sourced and how they're uh, the process and how they're is that washed, is that natural. We get those questions all the time, and so um, it's kind of interesting because of the look of our coffee shop and our brand look. People are surprised when they come in and they're like, "Oh, you guys are a specialty coffee shop. I thought you were just a chain or something that didn't have good coffee." And so our baristas have to be able to answer those questions when someone comes in and they actually know coffee. And so we spend a lot of time training them on that, on being able to answer those questions.
All right. And so you got a nice blend. Do you have a what you produce? Obviously, you're sourcing your coffee from another roaster, but it sounded like you have a what really makes Drip City as far as like what you're providing to your customer as far as the drinks go. You've got both a blend of your coffee aficionados and your I just need my caffeine. What are you seeing as the biggest pull right now to Drip City then?
Yeah, so Drip City is a play on words.
Okay.
Uh, so on the one side, you've got drip, and we're really becoming known for our drip coffee, our pour overs.
Hmm.
We do automatic pour over, so we have an automatic pour over machine. And so I think when we were doing all our research, one of the biggest complaints I was seeing about pour overs is that they take so long. So when
Hmm.
we come in, they order a pour over. They're like, man, I had to wait 20 minutes for the pour over because when the barista is doing that pour over, that's all they can do. They have to focus on that for 4 or 5 minutes. And so we have an automatic pour over machine, so we can really get those pour overs out quickly to our customers. And so that's one of the staples, one of the play on words for Drip City. And I tell people all the time, if we're going to be called Drip City, we better have good drip. And so we brew almost everything to order, whether it's our signature blend or, pour over, it's all brewed to order. So it's fresh. And then the other play on the words is for the younger generation. Drip is like looking good, feeling good, like having a good
Got it.
outfit, being cool, being hip. And so that went into a lot of our branding and our look and our merch that we sell and store. We're trying to appeal to that younger generation and really trying to find a lane that doesn't really exist, or create a lane that doesn't exist, of high-end specialty coffee with the look of like a brand instead of a logo, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I really like the fact you have these the automated pour overs. How does that affect your baristas? As far as, I mean, obviously you're much more effective on your time management because you can set it, go, help your customers move that line down. How does that play with do the baristas have more time to talk to the clients, or do they and does that affect their conversation? I don't know. I've seen some people, some amazing baristas, but it would literally somehow manage the wait, the time, and talk to a customer while they're doing a pour. I don't know how they do that. That's a super talent. But I don't know if there's, what kind of effect do you see on your baristas as far as having these neat automated systems, but yet they're still obviously very knowledgeable on their coffee.
Yeah, I think the baristas that can do a pour over and talk to someone are they're anomalies. If you know of any, I'd love to hire them because they're really hard to find. I can't do it. I can't do
Mm,
something and talk to somebody at the same time. And so I think at the beginning it was something different, something new that
mhm.
people weren't used to. Like our baristas come in, they're like, "Hey, I'm used to doing my own pour overs." And so that was kind of something that was a challenge for them.
Mhm.
But one of the reasons why we bought that machine is just like you said. I believe in kind of our culture is that the customer experience and interaction is more important than the barista actually doing the pour over themselves.
Absolutely.
So we're able to have a conversation with the customer while that pour over is going. Hey, have you tried this single origin, or
Mhm.
just any plans for today, and create that good customer experience, because you can have a great perfect pour over, juicy coffee, delicious, and the customer stood over there and no one talked to them and they didn't really feel like anybody saw them. That great cup of coffee isn't going to matter. But if we give a
Mm.
great customer experience, even if that's not the best cup of coffee they've ever had, they're going to think it is because of all the dopamine that was released in their head with the great conversation that they had with our barista. So using technology like that, new things like that, to where our baristas have more time to spend with the customer, I think has really made a huge impact in our business.
That's great. Now, being this business behind the beverage here, so this new technological investment has definitely, you see it paying for itself pretty quickly. It sounds like just from the fact that it moves people through the lines, it brings people back because you have better customer service, and it does. I'm kind of putting words in your mouth here, but is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if so, the people that come to a specialty coffee shop, get a pour over, I mean, those are people that know coffee
Yeah.
typically, and they're used to going to other places, and sometimes you get it quick,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to wait 20 minutes. And so when they
Mhm.
come to Drip City, they know, hey, I can get my pour over in about 5 minutes. The barista is going to sit there, have a conversation with me, and it's just a great experience. Plus, we get it out quick. It's
Mhm.
fresh. It's delicious. And so that's what we really want to be known for. And I think that it's not a unique concept, right, to have great customer service and to get drinks out quickly. I just think when in the coffee industry, when the baristas are doing it by hand, it can take a while.
Mhm.
It can take up, 10, 15 minutes if you've got a bunch of other drinks to make before you get to that pour over. And so that's going to negatively affect someone's customer experience. Whereas for us, you put that order in, we grind our coffee, we start that pour over, and then we can go on to making another drink, or we can interact with the customer. And so it just makes us even more versatile and our customer experience. And part of that is getting, that product out in a timely manner.
Do you feel that's also very beneficial to the age demographic that you're attracting at the moment? You said you're close to universities.
Well, what we found is the college students aren't getting pour overs. They typically don't even know
Okay.
what that is. They're getting like the iced
Okay.
drinks. That's their thing. So mostly the people that are getting pour overs, those are business professionals. They're either on the way to work or they're stopping to meet a friend or a business meeting and have a cup of coffee. And so that's what we've seen, at least.
And now a word from our sponsor. Hey, are you spinning your wheels trying to figure out what will really boost your business's bottom line? At Emberry Solutions, our Profit Priority Workshop is here to cut through the noise. We help you zero in on what truly matters, aligning your team, optimizing your processes, and magnifying your profits. Imagine your business running smoother than ever, with every decision and effort leading straight to increased profits. That's what focusing on the right priorities can do. Ready to boost your efficiency and profits? Visit Emberry Solutions and let's start making your business work smarter. At Emberry Solutions, we take your business from bottlenecks to breakthroughs. Are you a business owner looking to optimize cash flow and manage growth? I'd like to introduce you to Ray Jetton from J. Galt Financial Suite. Ray specializes in helping your business build a robust corporate credit profile based solely on your employee identification number, your EIN. This allows you to stop bootstrapping, avoid personal guarantees, and protect your personal credit and assets. Imagine your business standing strong with its own credit, completely separate from your personal finances. So have you ever checked your business credit report? It's public information, and Ray is offering a free business report for you. Just respond with your official business name as it is listed with the Secretary of State. Ray would love to dive deeper into how he can support your business. So visit his website to download a free ebook on building business credit with your EIN. When you do, use the word harvest when booking a call. Remember, your EIN is more than just a registration number. It's the key to unlocking a world of financial opportunities. And you mentioned the ice drinks, and we mentioned you're getting into some of the canned cold brews now as well. So where do you see that? What's influencing you to go that direction as well?
Well, one of the things is we want to do things that are unique in the sense of no one else is doing it, at least locally. And of course, cold brew is one of the, fastest growing drinks in the coffee industry, but it's not, having it canned is really not something that we see a whole lot, at least here in Tulsa, from our local coffee shops. And so being able to provide that where someone can just, hey, I'm going to grab a can of cold brew, I'll drink it later, go to the office or head home or, whatever. That's just something that an avenue that we feel like is not yet tapped into, at least in our market. And so that's really, we want to be trendsetters. We want to be the ones that say, hey, we tried something new and we're doing this. And then everyone's following us instead of, hey, what are they doing? And then we go, yeah, we should do that too. So we have team meetings. We're always thinking about, hey, what's something that we can do that no one else is doing? And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we know canned cold brew works. It's, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's mostly like big chains that are doing it and not your local specialty coffee shops.
All right. And so what other ways and means are you using to reach out to gain new customers and keep your other customers from new customers coming back for more?
Yeah. So we found that word of mouth is the most powerful form of like growing the business. And so we have identified like ways to give our customers a great experience and a great value for their money. And that in and of itself has translated into more people coming in. So I'll just give you a quick example. When we first opened in October, we took about 4 months of data. We looked at, hey, what's our slowest day? And our slowest day was Mondays. And so we actually had a conversation. It was so slow. We were actually thinking about closing on Monday. But my mentality, and this I think goes for any business really, is until we've exhausted all options, like don't close. So instead of saying, "Hey, let's close," let's say, "Hey, how can we boost sales on Mondays?" And let's just throw some ideas on the wall. So what we came up with was half price lattes on Mondays, and it exploded. We didn't run any ads, like we didn't do any, we didn't promote. We just started telling people, "Hey, half price lattes on Mondays. Tell your friends." And now Mondays is like one of the busiest days.
Wow.
And the amount that we're giving away in that discount is minuscule to the amount of money that we're making. So it's starting to become a staple. Like on Monday, go to Drip City because they've got half price lattes. It's a great deal.
That's awesome. That's great. So usually I save the team talk for a little bit later, but you slid right into this. So I really got to know. You talked about your team meetings. How do you structure your meetings? How do you structure things so it's not just a meeting and you're just, meeting for the sake of a meeting and you get more out of it? So what approaches do you use?
So we do a thing once a month. We call it Drip City Labs. And in
Okay.
that meeting, so this is usually on a Sunday after we close. And in that meeting, we're kind of going over, the sales, the trends, but then we also give our baristas time to be creative. And so we'll open up the bar. They can experiment with drinks, try new things, new flavors. And so it's really an all-inclusive, like, hey, this is our opportunity. If there's any issues, we can voice those. What's working, what's not working. If something isn't working,
Mm.
does anybody have any ideas to try to make it work? And of course, that gives our employees, our team, feel like they have a sense of, value in the business, that they're not just here to make a dollar, but they're actually a part of our success. And then giving them the creative freedom to go out and try new things. And we've actually have several drinks on our menu now that came directly from our baristas, just getting in Drip City Labs and just trying out new things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And so that's kind of how we do that once a month, and it's something that all of our team looks forward to.
Now, is this a all hands on deck meeting, or is it there people just volunteering because they want to improve the Drip City?
Yeah, so it's optional, so you don't have to come. Of course, we
Okay.
take care of them, we pay them, but we found that everyone comes. Like
Awesome.
they're excited about it.
Okay, great. That's great, and I totally agree with what you're saying there. How part of what I do is I actually help some of these baristas and coffee shops get alignment in their teams by running something I call a lightning decision jam, which is essentially identifies challenges, shows them how to create solutions in a quick blueprint, and then not only just say this is our solution, let's go do it. Let's test that solution, test small aspects, come back to it, and like you said earlier, find out what's working, what's not working, and what's next. So yeah, great.
Absolutely.
And so right now, and also you said this is everybody too. This is baristas, this is team leads, the whole 9 yards in this meeting.
Yeah, it's our
Okay.
baristas, our shift leads, our managers, everyone.
Okay. Great. So right now in Drip City Coffee, what do you see is your biggest current open challenge? Whether it's in process, whether it's in scalability, what is your biggest open challenge right now?
I would say even 6 months into it, it's still working through staffing issues, working through kinks. When we started, we didn't have, so we're not a franchise and we don't have, all the
Mhm.
procedures lined out. It was kind of just making those adjustments as they come along, and we're still making them. And this is probably more of a personal thing. I mean, everyone's different. Every
Mhm.
owner's different. Every coffee shop is different. But for me, it's having to adjust to this younger workforce and kind of their values and their needs and the way they work, the way you have to talk to them and communicate to them is very different than when I was their age and I was, working in a local place. So
Mhm.
that's been a challenge. It's for me specifically because I'm very driven. Everything I do, I try to do it to the best of my ability. If I see something that needs to be done, I just do it. That's not conducive to running a business where you can't be here all the time. And so
Yes.
my two biggest hurdles, just personally as an owner, is allowing my employees to do it and elevating them and giving them that level of trust. Very hard, very hard. I know there's a lot of business owners out there that can resonate with that. When
Absolutely.
this is your baby and you put all your you put so much time and effort into it, and then you've got to hand it over to someone else to run it. But I think probably one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, if you want to be successful, be the least important person at your shop.
Yes, it's really hard to fire yourself from things you've been doing to get the shop going. It's definitely a lesson for the leaders.
But
All right.
I've got a phenomenal team, and it's been hard, but we're getting there to where I trust them. Like I don't have to be up here all day. I trust them. I know they're going to do right. They're going to do great, and that's just part of number one, putting together a great team, and
Mhm.
then giving them the freedom and the trust, like them knowing, hey, my owner trusts me. I know it means a lot to them. So
Absolutely does. You're right on. All right. So after asking what your open challenges and stuff, and you're always going to be, improving upon those and making adjustments, where do you see, I know you just got started here, but still want to know, where do you want to take your business next?
so the next steps for us is opening multiple locations,
Mhm.
getting into roasting, canned cold brew. And part of our concept, without giving people too much, is um and I know you had Adam Feller on. He did our branding.
Yes, yes.
Amazing guy. But I
Really.
don't know how he did it. One of the things that when we were kind of doing our just throwing ideas on the board was, and I told him, I said, I want people to come into Drip City and feel like it's their city, and something that can
Nice.
translate to other locations. And so part of our branding is the ability to have a Drip City in another city, but it be unique for that city.
That's
And
brilliant.
so when you look at, we call them icons. They're just little blob figures that are kind of morphed from
Mhm.
landmarks from our city, and that can translate into other locations to where, one day hopefully we are a franchise, but it still feels like, man, this is local. Like this is our city, this is our coffee shop. And so that's where we hope to get to. That's kind of our goal, and we're making great strides in that direction. So we're excited about what the future holds for Drip City.
That's really cool. Really like that concept. So keeping the local feel, but eventually maybe growing into that franchise. So maybe we'll see you out here in St. Louis one day. Uh, that'd be kind of cool.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. So what else? Since you just started all this, you've gone through this crazy journey. What advice would you give to somebody who wants to do kind of the same thing you did, start their own coffee shop, brewery, any kind of beverage style company?
I think the biggest thing I can say is believe in yourself, have resiliency. You're gonna fail. You're gonna do things that didn't work, and embrace that. It's all part of the journey of getting better. You're gonna have drinks that people don't like. You're gonna have bad reviews, but you just gotta believe in yourself and not let those things keep you up at night. Take the criticism, see, hey, is there anything that we need to fix, anything that we need to change, anything that we need to make better, and really grab a hold of that, be resilient, and have the mindset of this is going to succeed, because it is a mental battle to start a coffee shop, especially if it's just you, or maybe you've got a business partner, it's not a franchise, so you don't have, that support
Yeah.
from, the big company. If it's just local coffee shop, it is a mental hurdle every day, and you've got to be resilient and just believe in yourself and have that mindset and that attitude that this is going to work. I'm going to make it work. If we fail, that's fine. That didn't work. Try something new. It's a constant adjustment. It's a very, very interesting industry because it's always changing. New drinks, new flavors, new ways to brew coffee, and so you've constantly got to be, you know, changing yourself and evolving, and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So resiliency, mindset. I think that's the biggest thing.
All right. And a couple more questions here. This one's kind of a fun one. So within Drip City Coffee, what is your favorite beverage? And then on the flip side, when you're just out in the town, what's your favorite beverage then?
Oh man, that's tough. Right now, I'll just say right now, my favorite
All right.
beverage is the baklava latte. So it
Baklava
has
latte. Okay.
baklava latte. So if you've had baklava, this is your drink. It's got honey, cinnamon, pistachio syrup, oat milk. We use the oat milk, it just makes it creamier. It is the bomb. We put it on the menu and we ran out of oat milk like a day later. It was
Wow.
just so popular. So that, and get it hot. It's
Hot,
better
okay.
hot than
All right.
iced. I know iced coffee is like the big,
Everybody's like that.
thing right now, but and then when I'm out, if I'm visiting somewhere else, I'm probably just gonna get some plain latte or a drip coffee.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like drip coffee at a specialty coffee shop is like chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. You can't do chips and
Great
salsa.
analogy. Yeah.
I'm just getting up and leaving. Like if your drip coffee's not good, then
Yeah. So you get a black or with cream?
I just get a black.
Yes.
No
All
cream.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
cream.
You want to
And
taste what's there. Yeah.
yeah, and people, man, I wanted to say this because we kind of talked about it before,
Yeah.
but there's like one of the challenges that we faced, and this was like I don't know, a danger, I guess, for lack of a better term, is how far are you willing to go to let a customer ruin your product? So when we have really good Ethiopian single
Yeah.
origin pour over, bold, fruity, tastes like blueberries,
Yes.
delicious. You pour heavy cream in that, it turns it sour
Yeah.
and disgusting. And it's like people ask for it, and where do you draw the line between you probably shouldn't do that
Yeah.
and just customer satisfaction? And I don't have an answer for you. That's something that we're constantly
That's a cool one. It's
but
like, yeah, where do you, wow. Yeah. Because lean on the trust of the barista, lean on what the customer wants. Yeah. I can see that's a great conversation. That's intriguing. I like that.
So what we have found that usually works is we'll have our baristas encourage them, hey, try it without cream first.
Mhm.
And if you still want to add it, yeah, we'll throw some cream in there for you. But give it a shot without it. You may be surprised. And typically that people are like, oh my gosh, that's actually a very delicious cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I need any cream. So that's kind of what we do, and it doesn't always work, but it's a slippery slope.
I wonder if telling a story around that product and then to lean them the correct direction, as it were, would even help. Like, yeah, we had somebody try this yesterday and we put cream in it, and the face they made was hilarious. It wasn't a good one. So you want to try it black just real quick to see what's there. It's really neat. It's like, imagine, cherry pie in a cup, but it's coffee, something, something around those lines. Yeah. So yeah, storytelling always tends to pique people's mind, and they remember it longer too. So they won't come back and make the same mistake.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is a great question. I'm going to have to pose that to some other coffee shops around my location, a couple of clients I have. Like, yeah, how far are you willing to take it, and what are you doing? Are you doing you're going to try to educate people out of making that decision, or are you just going to, go with what they want and suffer the consequences? So yeah, that's great. I like that. So finally, do you have any kind of like events or promotions or things you do? I know you mentioned you have your own kind of coffee class as well.
Yeah, so once a quarter, we actually highlight a different single origin region of the world. So back in February, we did Ethiopia, and it's really a fun time. Will host classes about that particular region and the coffee and the processes there. We'll do specials on whatever that particular region is. We actually changed the look of our shop. So we'll put up we for Ethiopia, we had Ethiopian flags everywhere. We're
Oh,
playing
neat.
Ethiopian music. And so we do that once a quarter. So that's kind of a cool time to come to the shop and learn about a different part of the world and the coffee culture there. And so if anybody goes on our website, dripcitycoffeeco.com, and goes over to coffee classes, we offer those classes once a quarter, just giving people kind of some cultural background about that particular part of the world. And then like some home brewing tips and tricks and equipment that we recommend to really elevate your home coffee game.
Okay, that's awesome. So is there anything else you guys do yearly or just where else can we find Drip City Coffee?
Right now, that's pretty much it. Is
Okay.
just the stuff we do here. If anybody has
Yeah.
some ideas,
Yeah.
barista latte art showdowns and stuff like that, coffee
Lot,
cuppings. We're gonna try to get into all
yeah.
of that.
Latte throwdowns are fun. All right. So, Sean, I really appreciate this story. I really like, you've just started in October and you've come this far. You have a great vision for what you want to do and how you want to take it, and several different really solid North Stars about where you want to be. And I really appreciate kind of the market research you did to understand your customer, who you wanted to serve before you even started. Is a really good point. And your Drip City Labs, that's great. I like that. That once a month, get everybody in there brainstorming, trying different things, really showing your staff how much they're appreciated and how much their ideas are appreciated. And I'm sure, and you said some of these ideas make it to the menu, or just even efficiency practices make it to Drip City and make it better. Yeah, I really, there's a lot here for anybody new and anybody old, honestly. Some of these ideas are great. The automations and the pieces of investing in those and where they're showing benefit to your company and profitability to your company are something, some of the older owners, could potentially benefit from, and especially new upcoming cafe shops, or which way they want to start: roastery first, cafe first, a little bit of both. You presented some very good ideas of the pitfalls and the successes as well. So, Sean, if you're ever in Tulsa, you guys are ever in, anybody, listeners, there we go, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, check out Drip City Coffee. Sean, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages with Matthew Shipp. Check the show notes for our guest contact information and connect with Matthew Shipp on LinkedIn today.